Hey guys, I decided to get up on here and finally talk about the whole Alex Preddy situation, shall I call it, that happened, I believe, on January 24th. I should have spoken a lot earlier about it, among other things, but it was just so crazy. It was so crazy because the last video I did was about Renee Good, and then I felt like, gosh, should I just turn around and talk about another killing? I mean, it was too much. And then I wanted to put some distance between what happened, how I felt about it, and then what's happened since. Now, tomorrow we're coming up on the, the oversight committee where Kristi Noem will be asked questions about what happened with Alex Preddy. I don't know if that will also include Renee Good. It should be interesting. I don't know if I'm going to watch it. I just watched a few minutes of Pam Bondi today, who graced no one with her presence. That woman is such a mess. She's very interesting. I've made a video about her before. I find her to be very inept. And I remember when Donald Trump had criticism of Joe Biden during a debate, he said that, if I'm recalling correctly, he said that one of Joe Biden's issues was that he did not know how to fire people promptly. Those were not his exact words, but I remember that was the issue. And I just question what his problem is right now. Why is Pam Bondi still here? Why is Kristi Noem still here? We know why Donald Trump is still here. We do know that. We have a hard time getting rid of our presidents, don't we? When they're called to task for fixing things that they do wrong. But Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem just consistently prove themselves to not do anything really in his favor, even though they think they are. I don't have any kind of high expectation, especially after listening to some of Rand Paul's talk on 60 Minutes, that Kristi Noem will come correct tomorrow in anything that she says. But for me, it will be interesting to see if she still sits there like a little church mouse. Because for the last few times I've seen her online, she's just been sitting there like a little church mouse. And that is quite different from, the looks that she's been giving us prior to Alex Preddy's death, which I would say resembled Reagan from The Exorcist. That's why I did this thumbnail. Every time I hear Kristi Noem speak, that's what I think, because she spins things so often. So when I see her, it's funny because the slogan that Donald Trump used when he was running was "drill, baby, drill." But what I hear when I see Kristi Noem's face is "spin, baby, spin." And then I see that scene in the movie when Reagan, the child that's full with the demonic spirit, her head just starts spinning and spinning until she throws up. And then I think prior to this happening, the exorcist walks up the stairs, I believe. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while. And tells the other priest, listen, whatever you do when we walk in here, you do not listen to what she says, because she lies about everything. Everything. And I'm telling you, when I see Kristi Noem with the and you know what, to be honest with you, a lot of these women out here who are these commentators, who are these the Charlie Kirk's wife, and other women that are doing this thing where they just line their eyes so dark, and then especially if they have those icy cold blue eyes, it creates this stark contrast that literally makes them look like Reagan from The Exorcist, sitting there just before they, proceed to lie. Kristi Noem, she gives me that big time. But lately, she's been doing less Reagan and more Church Mouse, because I'm pretty sure somebody told her to be quiet after all the lies that she told on Alex Preddy. I would never believe that just because she visually looks scary, that makes her a scary person, because that's just, an error of thinking. Never mind, not nice. But I will say that is the logic that she uses and that other people use, like Pam Bondi. And like in my last audio, I said Megyn Kelly. One of the reasons that they consistently find themselves in trouble is not just because they're entertaining the messes of politicians and there's no way out. It's very difficult to, on a consistent basis, to lie, and not ever understand that the truth can always beat a lie. Their main issue is that, from what I see, is that the prepositions when they speak. And this is something that I really haven't heard anybody else speak about. This year when Alex Preddy got shot in the back several times by the ICE agents, Kristi Noem immediately came out. She characterized him basically as a criminal. Then she said that he was an individual that approached the U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm automatic handgun. She used the word with. Pam Bondi used the word on. Megyn Kelly said something about the reason why she wasn't getting shot was because she was at home. These words are all prepositions. So besides the obvious thing, which is that just because a man carries a gun to a protest does not mean he's going to utilize the gun against another person. If he has a permit, which I believe he did, and he did not take out his gun, then it would be hard to prove that he was intended to do harm, even though later on there were videos showing that he had been at another protest and had kicked a car and had spit on somebody. Those two things don't prove that in a separate incident he would shoot somebody. Megyn Kelly knows that. That's called false cause fallacy, I believe. Just because there is a correlation does not mean that there is a cause. So when Kristi Noem came out and said that he was violent, and this could be proven because he was with a gun, then that would mean to her that everybody that is with gun has the potential to be looked at as violent, even though our constitutional right is that we can carry a gun, we can have a permit, and we are not to be looked at that way because we are exercising our Second Amendment right. Megyn Kelly, her preposition, she was at home. I remember I saw this little clip of her seething, and I said, oh my gosh, this woman is so hateful. She is so hateful that she can't see straight. The fact that Megyn Kelly used to practice law and probably still has her bar license, and she's out here saying things that make absolutely no sense, is insidious. She said something like, you know why I didn't get shot? I didn't get shot because I was at home. This is stupid. This is stupid. And I really do wish that people that interact with her, other commentators and other influencers, would call her out on that. Not just the ones that never liked her in the first place, but the ones that have pull, that speak with her and have hosted her on their shows, you don't see them saying anything. You don't even see them saying, hey, you make no sense. The reason why it doesn't make sense is because there are too many other cases where people did stay home and mind their own business, and they still got shot to death. Cases like Sonia Massey by law enforcement. Cases like Katherine Johnson in Georgia. I think that was an issue with the wrong warrant. It was what was that case? No-knock warrant being served, something like that, and she defended herself. She was an older black woman, and they shot her to death. And then we have the Botham Jean, remember? That was a black man that was sitting at home eating ice cream, minding his business. Here are the key words. At home. He was at home. Preposition. And the law enforcement officer, she said that she thought he was in her apartment. Remember that case? So we can't just say that people would not get shot if they would just stay their rear ends at home, when we have plenty of cases of people who do stay at home and they still get shot. That's stupid. And Pam Bondi, the files are on the desk. If she had never said that, again, using the preposition on, we'd still have problems because people want their justice. I just don't think that she would have been questioned as hard if she wouldn't have claimed that something was on her desk when it wasn't, or if she just had no interest to hand over whatever was on her desk. But I don't see Donald Trump firing any of these people. I don't even see him saying anything to Megyn Kelly. I mean, what could he say to her that he didn't say to her a long time ago? I don't know what we're doing. We must be masochists to tolerate this type of treatment from people, to not get justice, to then sit around and listen to people run around in circles and say what amounts to nothing. The questions asked reveal nothing, and the answers given reveal nothing. There was one thing Pam Bondi said today that I thought was interesting. She said that the people asking questions, the representatives, were theatrical. I find that funny because I think the whole thing is theater. So I was grateful that at least she got that right. Even though she meant it to be an accusation towards the people that were questioning her, she's part of the theater too. You know, before my mom got her master's in business, both of my parents majored in theater. So when I was growing up, they brought us to plays on Broadway when we had the chance to go. And then sometimes, when there were local productions or universities that were putting on plays, we got to go. And I am here to tell you, United States citizens are being robbed of a good show because the whole thing stinks. They can't even act properly. Putting politicians in a semicircle to only ask rhetorical questions does nothing to prosecute men that have committed crimes. What are we doing? Every single person, every member just ends up looking absolutely ridiculous. Pam Bondi is out there, or Kristi Noem is out there saying, oh, these immigrants that are committing these crimes. Look at this person's doing this to that girl and this What about our own people that are doing these things to girls? Oh, and this person, this Abrego Garcia, he punched his wife in the face. Yeah, we see some of our own people punching their wives in the face too. We see some of our own people with traffic stops too. The Ninth Amendment. A lot of people did not bring that up when Alex Preddy got killed. The Ninth Amendment is interesting. I'm no lawyer, But basically, it's something like just because something is not listed in the Bill of Rights does not mean that it is not a right for citizens. Because we don't spell out that shooting a protester in the back is wrong does not mean that a law enforcement officer should do it, especially under the circumstances when they were not endangered. But I'm thinking that it's time that we look at the Ninth Amendment a little bit closer, because there are way too many people in power that are getting away with things that have not been spelled out in the Constitution.